Good morning, friends. This is the fifth Sunday of Easter. We are moving through each of the Sundays, moving towards the Ascension. And we can see a common theme running through the epistles and the Gospels. We have the recordings from the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and the same level of sort of what we would call shock and awe is always recorded. The disciples need a great deal of convincing. The women don't need so much convincing. They're out early in the morning doing the work. I don't know what the other men were doing. But they have an immediate experience of meeting with angels and with someone who says, "Don't come too near me. I've yet to complete the tasks from my side." And it's Jesus the Christ. It's very real for them. But in the reading this morning, which we'll come to, the angels are saying, everybody go to Galilee, and there, hopefully, you'll fully appreciate what's been going on. So we come to that in the next couple of Sundays. But the collect begins the whole episode setting up what's actually going on here. O Christ, our Lord and Master, grant that as thou hast risen from the dead, thy people, that's us, may rise from ignorance to the firm ground of true knowledge. That's the first step, the firm ground of true knowledge. That doesn't change. We change, but that doesn't change. We slowly take that on board, and things that were hard to understand become more and more real. The firm ground of true knowledge. And then, after that, or as it says in the collect, and thence press onwards towards the mount of heavenly wisdom, from true knowledge to heavenly wisdom, from the world of space and time to the world of no space, no time, but a very raised consciousness, using those words that we use in the 21st century. And the words in the collect, which say the same thing, but more poetically, where fair peace forever dwells, fair peace forever dwells, where the feeling of great contentment and great peace reigns. You'll be aware in reading the Bible, and if you're attending Eucharist, a lot of the times through the service, quite regularly, the celebrant will say, "Peace be with you," and then the congregation returns back to the celebrant. Jesus, when he comes amongst the disciples early after Easter Sunday, he says, the first thing he says is, "Peace be with you." Everybody just come into the room, be with me, settle down. Peace be with you. Now those words don't sound very significant, and maybe they're not so significant if the day is full of all sorts of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff to do in our daily duties and activities. And this really agitates the mind. But when we're still, or when we choose to start the day with a very short prayer, "Lord Christ, may all my activities, beginning, continuing, and ending, be in you." Short prayer. An aspiration to try and keep that flavour, that little essence of peace be with you. That's the essence. Peace be with you. Quietness and contentment. And so coming back to the collect, we rise from ignorance to the firm ground of true knowledge. And what I've just been speaking about is just a little flavour of the true knowledge. Aspiring to be in the presence of, recognizing we're in the presence of, and eventually living in the presence of the Christ within. This is the true knowledge. So we can accept it intellectually, but we have to put it into practice. We have to try it out. We have to see if there's a flavour, a numinous flavour, as we say. Numinous, not phenomena. Phenomena is dashing here and dashing there. Numinous is beyond phenomena, behind it, the true knowledge. And then press onwards to what? To press on to unification with the Christ within. So, in 2 or 3 lines, that is the Christian path. But coming back 2,000 years ago, the disciples are agitated. Women are going out with spices in the traditional way to dress the body, preserve the body as a great act of love, a great act of respect. But it's not there. It's gone. The angel is there directing them. We've had the story of walking on the road, the 2 disciples, and Jesus joining them and being unaware of it until he symbolically did something. He broke the bread. Peace be with you. And suddenly they remembered him. They recognized him. He came into the presence of the disciples in a room, apparently just in there suddenly. This pleased them and agitated them, but still, doubt, gnawing away. Where does all that doubt come from? It comes from the world. It comes from the fear and doubt department. If you can't see it, it can't be real. It just nibbles away. When you're at peace, and when you're living from the heart, a new reality dawns, but to begin with, it's very fragile. The world is very corrosive of fragile spiritual ideas. Down the path, not so fragile. And the corrosiveness is not effective at all. But to begin with, the disciples, worried, concerned, it must be too good to be true. Did it really happen? Did the Master come amongst us yesterday, or was it just a dream? Even though they saw it, even though they experienced it just for a short time, almost the next day they'd talk themselves out of it. The waking mind, the conscious mind, the mind that helps us do tasks, is great at talking us out of things. That can't be true. Can't be true. We can't see it. Chatter, 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 chatter. That's not the peace be with you voice. It's not that voice. That voice is a lot quieter, and you have to be quiet to hear it. So, these 3 women having this experience, almost certainly changing them for the rest of their lives. And the disciples now thinking about going to Galilee. And there's lovely stories of meeting by the lake and Jesus interacting with the disciples in different ways. That'll come in the next few Sundays ahead. But in the Acts of the Apostles, from this passage of the Acts of the Apostles, the story is repeated. Jesus, there was no fault with him, but the crowd were whipped up into a frenzy. Still happens now, doesn't it? Still happens now. We see it even now in the world. But this test was endured by Jesus the Christ to achieve his particular transcendence. And why go through all that? Why bother if you've got already these attributes? The purpose is to demonstrate to us, and from his side, for him to extend his influence into our lives. It's a great gift. Someone demonstrating that what that entity can do, we can do. It's a wonderful gift. That's why you have apprentices. Apprentices look at a master and think, oh, carpenter, or welder, or whatever. Gosh, so skillful. I wonder if I'll ever be able to do it like that. You make a start. The apprentice makes a start. And slowly, imperceptibly, almost without realizing, practice, practice, 1 step, 2 steps, more practice, more steps. It becomes a reality. The apprentice turns into a practitioner. On the path, we must become practitioners. We must practice these things so that, as the collect says, we gradually appreciate the firm ground of true knowledge. Then we're not so distracted. The peace of God is more real. It keeps us stable through the times of the day which are very fretful. But we're pressing on to the union, the heavenly wisdom, the Christian path's final destination. So in these Sundays of Easter, take advantage of these thoughts. They are very beneficial and bring great value to your lives. Take advantage of all this knowledge and all this wisdom so you can actually live a rich and purposeful life.